For 10 years, I honored my husband's dying wish never to enter his private garage. But the day I unlocked that door, I didn't just discover his darkest secret, I rewrote my entire life with the lies he left behind. What I found in that garage destroyed me, but what I did next destroyed him. The rain pelted against the old Oregon house, a dull percussion that had become the soundtrack of my hollow life. 10 years as a widow, 10 years since Michael's car skidded off a rain-slicked highway, yet his presence haunted these walls more than his absence ever did. There was only one part of him I had never touched, never dared to cross: the garage. It stood there at the end of the gravel driveway like a sealed vault, always locked, always forbidden. He had made it clear long ago that it was his sanctuary, his space, his rules. Even a passing suggestion to help him organize it was met with a sharp, dismissive glare and the cold words, "You don't need to see what's in there." But time has a way of loosening old fears. The house had become a mausoleum, every creak and shadow whispering his name. It was time to move on, to sell the house, downsize, and close a chapter that had stayed open far too long. That Thursday morning, gray and heavy with Oregon rain, I stood before the garage door with the keys trembling in my hand. The lock resisted at first, as if it too had sworn loyalty to his secrets, but then it gave, and the door groaned open. The air inside was thick with dust and time. I had expected clutter, tools, maybe old car parts, but what I saw made the keys slip from my fingers onto the concrete floor. The walls were covered in photographs, hundreds of them, not of me, of her. The same woman appeared over and over, in different outfits, in different places, but always her, smiling, laughing, posing. A life meticulously documented, yet completely hidden from me. I walked through the gallery of betrayal in a daze until something on his workbench caught my eye. A small jewelry box sat there, innocuous yet out of place. I opened it and felt my breath catch. Inside lay a diamond necklace, my grandmother's necklace, the same one that had vanished 12 years ago, a loss Michael had blamed on my carelessness. But here it was, gleaming coldly in the dim light, an accusation made of stone. My hands shook as I sifted through the surrounding mess, uncovering letters, piles of them, intimate and loving, addressed not to me, but to her. As the pieces began to fit together, the picture became darker. Michael had a second life, a second wife, and 2 children living across the border in Vancouver. Weekend work trips, late-night meetings, the vacations I was never invited to, they all made sense now. While I raised our daughter alone, believing he was just busy, he was busy weaving a web of deceit that stretched across state lines. My inheritance had bought her house. My sacrifices had paid for their private schools. Deeper I dug, the more sinister it became. Hidden in a battered filing cabinet were forged documents, life insurance policies with signatures that trembled as if even the forger had second thoughts. 2 months before his death, Michael had quietly increased his policy. Years ago, I had supposedly signed a cancellation that would have tripled the payout. Only I had no memory of such a document. The signature was mine, but only in the way a shadow mimics a person. He had been preparing to sever me from his life entirely, to leave me destitute, erased, but fate, it seemed, had other plans. His accident had not only ended his life but also unraveled his carefully constructed lies. The grief that had once consumed me transformed into a smoldering resolve. I hired a private investigator, someone who specialized in finding the deadliest of secrets, and together we peeled back the layers of Michael's double life. When I finally met his second wife, the mirror image of my betrayal stared back at me. She had been as clueless as I was, a pawn in his elaborate game. She lived in the house my inheritance had purchased, raising children under the illusion of a faithful husband. Her devastation was raw, But it did not temper my pursuit of justice. Revenge did not come with shouts or slammed doors. It came quietly, methodically, like a tide that knows no resistance. I took every document, every photograph, every piece of evidence, and built a case that the insurance company could not ignore. The second family had received a $2.5 million payout, money that was rightfully mine. Their world cracked open as the fraud was exposed, and the payout was clawed back into the hands of its rightful owner. But I was not finished. The estate became a battlefield, and I fought with the precision of someone who had nothing left to lose. The stolen jewels, including my grandmother's necklace, were returned to me, no longer tokens of his deceit but trophies of my victory. Yet, the final strike was the one that resonated far beyond legal documents and courtrooms. He wrote a memoir, The Widow's Garage. How I found my life in his lies became my anthem, a narrative of betrayal turned empowerment. The true crime community devoured it, propelling it to the #1 spot. A bestseller born from the ashes of my marriage. Every bookstore shelf it adorned was another nail in the coffin of Michael's lies. No, I live in Paris, a city that speaks the language of rebirth. The apartment overlooks the Seine, and I sip champagne bought with the money he tried to steal from me. Ironically, the second wife sends me thank you cards now. She, too, had been a victim, and in tearing down Michael's house of cards, I had set her free as well. Michael had forbidden me from entering his garage, believing that his secrets were safe behind locked doors. But secrets have a way of rotting, of seeping through cracks until they demand to be seen. His sanctuary became my stage, his lies my liberation. To every woman who feels that itch, that whisper in the dark that something is off, I say this: do not wait 10 years. Trust your instincts. Open the door. And if you crave more stories where liars, cheaters, and double lives are exposed, stay with me. Subscribe, like, comment. This is not just my story. It could be yours.